March 25th, 2019, working special call meeting work session. And we have 3 presentations today, right? So the first one, let's see here. I just want to go over the rules here. There'll be no motions today, no votes, and we're just considering information as presented. So the first item today is, Tracy, they have your last name wrong. I will chastise the appropriate authorities on this. This is very serious. I apologize to you. But anyway, I'll let, since we got you wrong first, we'll let you come first and give a presentation about the Town Center CID. And if you let everybody know what your real last name is, we'd appreciate it. Congratulations. And congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Rathbone-Stife with the Town Center CID. It is a privilege to be here yet again to give you an update on the Town Center CID. Commissioner Burrell has been a great partner along with the other members of the commission for the work of the district. So we are about to enter into our 23rd year as the second oldest CID in the state of Georgia. Hopefully you all received our new annual report, which we went digital this year. So we are not printing any hard copies and had a new digital format that Lucy Morgan, our communications and outreach manager, worked with our consultants to design. So Lucy is here today, as well as Alicia Smith, who's our director of projects and planning. They round out the team with Jennifer Hogan, who runs the Alliance, our 501c3 community partner. So let's on with the show. We have a number of projects that we completed this year: the South Barrett Reliever Phase 2 roundabout and road realignment. That was a $7 million project that was Phase 2 of a 4-phase project for South Barrett Reliever. Once Phase 3 is complete, it will reduce traffic along South Barrett by more than 22%. It will be the largest infrastructure project in the history of the Town Center CID, valuing more than $50 million. So that is a project that has received multiple GTIP grants, as well as SPLOST dollars for the 16 SPLOST. We have $10.4 million towards that project that was secured last year. It was the largest regional award from the Atlanta Regional Commission outside of projects for GDOT and MARTA. So Town Center was very proud to receive $10.4 million with, of course, the support for the county towards that project. We are working on an assessment of the concrete medians. The red brick has, worn, and so we're working with DOT to look at that. We have completed and are getting ready to open Founders Park Phase 1. We just installed the latest Zagster bike share at that location at Roberts and Vaughn. That gives us more than 30 Zagster bikes in the district, and we've had nearly 40,000 trips in the 2.5 years of the program. So we are looking to add a number of new stations in the coming year. This year, as we've come out of our master plan, a lot of what we did in 2018 was related to studies. We built upon the studies that we did with LCI update, as well as the master plan, which was adopted by the commissioners, to look ahead as we prepare for projects for the 2022 SPLOST. Where are the issues related to level of service, roadway enhancements, trail connectivity, smart street corridors, in order to enhance traffic and mobility for a multitude of modalities? So we're working on studies for the Barrett Lakes Boulevard, George Busby corridor, as well as Big Shanty Road. And then our landscape enhancements, and then our trolley tours that we started, which help talk about redevelopment throughout the district. So here's a picture of the completed South Barrett Reliever Phase 2, again, $7.2 million. It opened last July. And we also identified 3 acres of additional green space that we're working on a concept design for, and then the Alliance will work to secure philanthropic support to finish out that part. We worked with you all, as well as our state leaders, on HB 930, which created, as you all know, the ATL. And now we're working together with HB 511 to hopefully have an extension of the clause for the district. Transit is a priority for Town Center, as you all know, as well as the county with the other CIDs and the chamber and others, looking at what those solutions look like both now and into the future. We were featured in the news in a variety of locations, all of the major magazines as well as newspapers, and then presentations throughout the community. Some of our ads got an upgraded look. One of the ads that we're most proud of is the collaborative ad that we did for Georgia Trend with all 3 CIDs, highlighting how all 3 CIDs together spark growth, innovation, and success together. We received the GPTQ Pre-Construction Award for South Barrett Reliever Phase 2 in conjunction with Arcadis and Cobb County. That was given at the end of last year, so congratulations to everyone involved. And then looking ahead, for the coming year in 19 and beyond, we'll be looking at our current studies, completing, making those recommendations to the commissioner as well as the entire board for what Town Center would like to see included for this last that's upcoming. Continuing to work on South Barrett Reliever Phase 3. We just got through right-of-way approvals and are beginning that acquisition phase. So we are on track and plan to have the remaining of the funds put together by the end of this year. Continued expansion of the bike share program, and then activating the trail. We've been working with Kimley Horn to identify ways to create spaces and moments along the trail to increase the user experience. So different things such as exercise areas, more shade areas, some benches, different things that they need throughout the trail in order to enjoy it. So with the Town Center CID, we have a 501c3, as you all know, which is the Town Center Community Alliance. That is our philanthropic partner that helps us do 2 things. It helps us engage individuals and corporations who don't pay into the CID, giving them another place where they can contribute to our projects. And 2, it gives the CID another tool in the toolbox. It allows us to do things that are still within the mission and focus of the CID's goals and strategies, but to do it and leverage it in a different way. So the Alliance gets to do the warm and fuzzy things outside of infrastructure. So green space, trails, beautification. And one of the things that we did was adopt a master plan for the next phase of Aviation Park. We've been working with Commissioner Burrell and Jimmy Giese on what that will look like in terms of providing an educational experience that highlights STEM and the history of aviation in Cobb County. These are our Zagster stats. Actually, for the end of 2018, you'll see that it was 33,000 trips with nearly 13,000 users. Those numbers, of course, are much higher. We're still averaging over 200 trips a week. Aviation Park Phase 2 campaign we just talked about. One of the things we're excited about is the plane that we're refurbishing that will go just on the west side of the park behind the restrooms. So projects for the Alliance looking ahead, they're in conjunction with the CID, of course, and it's continuing fundraising for the aviation campaign of $400,000. Activating the trails, Zagster, and then our new Alliance membership program, which is a way for businesses to join the Alliance and receive special benefits. We had a lunch and learn on Friday that focused on redevelopment in the new Edison Chastain development that was open exclusively to our Alliance members. And there's your update. So thank you all for your partnership. We appreciate you and look forward to another exciting year together.
Thank you, Tracy.
Questions?
Not really questions, but just comments, and thank you for your partnership. And, you know, I really thought the skip span connector was the be-all, end-all, but we're still going above and beyond with the roundabouts and all the infrastructure and road work. And I would be remiss if I didn't say a special thank you to the Alliance and the CID for the first and only passive park under the new district lines for District 3 with Aviation Park.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
It's 3 of 50+ acres to come.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Cupid.
Yes, hi Tracy. Is
Hi.
this available online?
This presentation is not, but we can easily make it available online. The annual report is online.
Okay.
And went out 2 weeks ago. So it's
Okay.
also on our website as
Great.
well.
This was great. Thank you.
Of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
is, one sec. I think we have the Cumberland CID.
Cumberland
Are
next?
you giving that presentation?
I am not, sir.
Yeah, do they know you're giving that presentation?
Nope.
Oh, it's
Oh,
just-
he's here. There we go. Sorry. I jumped the gun.
Yeah, I was baffled too.
I can tell by the look on your face.
I apologize, yes.
Sorry, my time?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm just the chairman, so I'm frequently confused.
Thank you. I'm Mason Zimmerman, and first let me say it's always tough to follow Tracy and the accomplishments of the Town Center CID. I'll do my best. Secondly, you might note that I am not John Shern, the chairman. I am not Connie Engel, the vice chairman. I'm not Barry Teague, the treasurer. I'm just some guy that's been on the board for a dozen years that they tap to come give their report because they're all out of town, and I apologize for that. And we're not exactly deep in executive directors right now, so I'm up. So, and I know Chairman and Commissioner Ott, that you guys attend virtually all of our meetings, so this will all be old hat to you, but I'll go through it relatively quickly. The slides are really in three categories. One is just a snapshot of the profile of the Cumberland CID, and then some of our 2018 accomplishments and some of the things we want to do in 2019. I think we look at the Cumberland CID sort of in three phases now. As Tracy said, Town Center is the second oldest CID in the state. We're the oldest. So there's the period between 1988 and 2013 where we did a great number of things. And then there's the period between 2013 and 2017, which was really, we had a lot of emphasis on the Braves, the impact of the Braves, trying to work around and with and through that. And then there's a period after. And so we've been diligent both in our history and in that time that was a concentrated effort, and now going forward to how to sort of link all that together. So I'll go through that real quickly with you for today. So this is our profile. I think you guys obviously know the boundaries of our district. 190 commercial property owners hold 61% of the total real estate value. And we've invested over that period of time I described $180 million of additional taxpayer money, largely it has been at 5 mills, additional 5 mills every year since we started. And our job is to leverage that 180 into a larger number. Obviously, we're one of the largest submarkets in the Southeast. We're very diverse in terms of our product offering from commercial and residential. And we think that a lot of the major companies in Cobb County have concentrated in the Cumberland CID, and we're aware of that, and we're trying to be good stewards of that. In terms of the impact, this is the study that Georgia Tech did that you all are familiar with in combination with the Chamber. The bottom center, bottom right are some of the rolled up statistics. On the left are some of the things that we've accomplished in this recent period of time. 6 new office buildings, a great amount of new residential, and some new retail, many hotel rooms. So we've had a very robust period coming out of the Depression, coming through the Braves and the so-called halo effect. In terms of 2018, we did a number of things. We expanded Interstate North Parkway pedestrian improvements. We enhanced the bridgescape. We've done a great amount of work at I-75 and 285 on cleanup. We also expanded, we took a page out of Town Center's book and really moved forward our bike sharing program, not only to put existing bikes on the ground today, but to put a framework in place to expand that, which we are doing now. So we have now moved into the Cochrane Shoals area with a bike share. We are at the Chattahoochee River, Paces Mill Palisades, and of course at the Battery. And the bike study shows on the far right the places that we are going to expand that program. So for 2019, obviously we began the year in great cooperation with the City of Atlanta in hosting the Super Bowl. So we had a great rollout in combination with the county and the Chamber. to get banners displays up and make sort of a seamless transition for those people that came to town who don't really see county lines, what that looked like. And I think it was a phenomenal example of how all the parties worked together to showcase the region. We have a number of initiatives which are up there, which I don't need to go through all of them with you, but just know that we are at the Switch working hard in really 3 categories of initiatives. Our core has always been infrastructure, so we've done a great amount of infrastructure over the years. We're going to continue to do that, obviously with a focus on the Acres Mill ramps. And we're going to keep working on our quality of life initiatives. Our goal is to try to balance these things and continue with our parks and our trails and our enhancements. And then we're continually planning. We spend a lot of time and a lot of money, as does Town Center, on preparing for the future. We're either trying to identify problems that are out there and how we can solve them, or we're trying to create initiatives to improve one of those areas, quality of life or infrastructure. So going forward, that is it in the summary. You know, access, connectivity, and placemaking are really our key goals. And we could not do it without the support of the county and certainly Commissioner Ott. And we appreciate y'all's support and partnership in all that we do. And we think we've got a great history to build on and a really exciting future as well. So any questions, I'll be happy to address them. But don't make them too difficult, 'cause I'm just a board member, I don't know.
No, I'm not going to ask any questions. I just want to say that I know that everybody in the area really appreciates all that Cumberland has done. And I think looking back to when the Braves announcement came, the fact that so much time and effort had been spent throughout your history in getting infrastructure, like you said, in place, it made it so that it could kind of go in there with not a huge amount of infrastructure requirements and then the Class A office buildings that have come. So I think it's a great partnership.
Appreciate that.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you very
Looking forward to
much.
working with you. Thank you, Mason. Mr. Volkman?
I was waiting for my cue this time.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. It's my pleasure to introduce Jenny Harris with Nichols McCauley. Nichols McCauley is our external auditor. They have just completed the 2018 audit, so she's going to come up here and present you the audited results. And I did want to take a moment to thank my folks, Lindy Tisdale and her team, for getting us up to this point. They've done a great job, putting in a lot of hard work. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank them and then ask Jenny to come up and give the presentation.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm going to just jump right in. Our opinion on the 2018 CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, is an unmodified or clean opinion, which basically means that we believe the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the county. Each year, the Finance Department submits the CAFR to the state and to GFOA for them to review. The 2017 CAFR received the Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting, which we believe that the 2018 report, once reviewed, will also receive that certificate. This slide here is of the general fund's revenues. The total revenues for the general fund were $428 million. And you can tell the largest slice there is of the taxes at 77% of the total general fund's revenues. The next slide is the general fund's expenditures. Total expenditures of the general fund were $370 million, and the largest area where you spent your money was public safety at 44% of the total expenditures. This next slide is a summary of the activity in the general fund. Total revenues were $428 million, which is an increase of $72 million over the previous year. That increase is a result of growth in the digest and changes in your millage rate. Expenditures for the fiscal year were $370 million, which is an increase of $10 million over the previous year, which is a 3% increase. That increase is a result of changes in your personnel, the costs associated with those. Your total net change in fund balance was an increase of $39.9 million, and your ending fund balance was $130 million. GFOA recommends that governments have at least 2 months of operating expenses in their unassigned fund balance. And the county has 3.5 months in their unassigned fund balance, so it's a very strong fund balance in your general fund. The fire fund had $93 million in revenue for the fiscal year, which is $3.5 million more than what they had in the previous year, which is a result, again, of the growth in the digest. And expenditures were $90 million for the fiscal year, which is about 3.5% more than it was last year. Your total net change was an increase in fund balance of $1.8 million, and your total fund balance at the end of the year, which is restricted for the fire fund, at $35.6 million. The SPLOST fund had $173 million of revenue, which is about 8% less than what they had last year. This is a result of decrease in grant funding from the previous year, not necessarily SPLOST revenue, but grant funds this year. And expenditures were $193 million. During the audit, we test those expenditures to make sure that they're spent in compliance with the referendums. The total net change in fund balance was a decrease of $16 million. And the total fund balance in the fund was $168 million at the end of the year, which is all restricted for SPLOST projects.
Did you, when you review of the SPLOST expenditure, did you find any inconsistencies?
No, we did not, know.
Okay, all right, thank you. Go ahead, sure.
The end of the year balance, is that due to being over on projections from previous years to make up that 19 million difference?
We're looking at the SPLOST fund, is that right? Yes, yes. The total, in fiscal year 2018, there was more expenditures than revenues in that year.
Right.
But the fund balance in that fund, the beginning of the year, was $184 million. So as revenue comes in, that SPLOST revenue comes in, there's a timing difference of when that's spent.
Okay.
This next slide is the water sewer fund, and it compares 2018 and 2017. 2018 is the green bar. So operating revenues, you can see, were just slightly less than the previous year, and operating expenses were about 3% more than they were in the previous year, which is a result of personnel cost increases and also depreciation expense on some major projects. At the end of the year, the total net income or total operating income was $10 million. And then I'd like to close by saying thank you to the Finance Department. We ask a ton of questions and request a million things during the audit, and they're very cooperative. And I'd also like to thank the other departments we visit during the course of the audit as well.
Hey, could we also get a copy of this presentation? I mean, questions from the board? Thank you. I appreciate your time today. Commissioner Rod, I believe you have this one.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, Brad, ready? All right, next slide. So the first thing I thought I would do is just, we're kind of just still in infant stages here, but this is just a picture of what the area looked like in November of 2014. The next slide shows you what it looks like today. So a lot of changes over the last few years and still more to come. Okay, next slide. So what I wanted to do is just kind of go back to the original projections. Everybody knows the baseball diagram. This just kind of shows what was the original, the plan for how the stadium was going to be paid for. Next slide. Some revenue highlights for 2018. This is the first year that SunTrust Park and the Battery have been open for 12 months. It's also, the Battery Atlanta is 92% occupied. Some of the financial numbers, Cobb County Schools received about $3.1 million in 2017, and that increased to $6.5 million in 2018. Likewise, the county, which received about $3 million in 2017, saw the revenue increase to about $6.2 million in 2018. And a lot of that is due to property values, which you can see increased from about $188 million in 17 to about $527 million in 2018. Okay. All right, back to just to kind of be able to show you some comparisons. The 2013 projection was the original proposal for how the stadium debt would be paid. In 2015, that was revised with changes coming in the hotel motel tax, a decrease in the allocation of existing revenues, which was the general fund, and then an increase in the rental car fee. So you can see it went from 17.9 million down to 16.4. Moving to 2017 and 2018, you can see that all the numbers moved in a positive direction. Probably the most significant ones to point out to the public is the reallocation of existing revenue. In 2017 dropped to 5.9 million, and then further dropped in 2018 to 3.5 million. And the only thing that was below projections in 2017 was the rental car fee. But you can see in 2018, that number went up above the projected 600,000. So looking at the 2015 revision, which was the, if you want to call it the projected budget, versus the 2018 actual numbers, you can see that every number has exceeded the expectations. The hotel motel tax, and you're going to see here in a little bit, we know that some of that money now goes towards Cobb Travel and Tourism. The general fund money has gone down to 3.5. And so what that's done is it's, as you can see, it has generated 17.2 million. And as the board knows, through various agenda items, some of that money has gone to some other places. Now, going to sales tax, we hadn't really talked about this last year because there weren't as many businesses opened. What you see on the left is the tax and the fee type. Sales and use is basically just the sales tax, that would be the 6%. Liquor by the drink. The occupancy is the hotel motel tax. And then the tourism hotel motel fees is the $3 per night. So on the left, you can see where the money came from. And then on the right, you can see how the money is proportioned out. You'll notice some of the numbers between the county. For example, the baseball sales tax collected is evenly divided between the county and the school board because of the 6%, the county and the school board each get 1%. And then you'll see one of the things we added this year on the report is the state portion so that you can kind of see where the money goes. Now, as you move a little bit further down the list, because of how the sales tax is computed and allocated out, the county and the school board don't always get the same amount. But, so that kind of shows you the breakdown of the dollars. Basically, you have a total of about 17.2 million in sales tax. Next slide. Now, the question everybody asks is, what is all in? So this graph here shows all in. This is debt, and I'm going to show you that in the next slide, but hold on a minute, Brad. This basically shows you the trend that from 2016 to 2017 with the stadium opening, the initial all-in cost went up, but then it has started to come back down, as I showed you with the going from 5.8 to 3.5 million from the general fund. And so the county general fund portion has continued to go down and is projected to go down to about 5.4 million in 2019. Next slide. So this is kind of a breakdown of 2018. What you can see on the top part of the table is the cost to the county, and this is the all-in. You have the debt service at about 22.5 million, capital maintenance fund, public safety of just under 900,000, pedestrian bridge, and then insurance. So it comes out to about 24.8 million. Now the revenues are the next two sets of tables. So the first set is what did the Braves put in? They have 6.1 million from the agreement, and then property taxes on the battery is about 1.8 million, and then 516,000 for the special service district, which is about, so it comes out about 8.4 million. And then the numbers we talked about earlier, and like I said, some of these are not exactly the same as the other ones because some of the money goes towards Cobb Travel and Tourism, like I mentioned. But you can see the sources of revenue from the county side. And when you add that to the revenue from the Braves, you come out with the 24.838 million. So there is a net difference of zero between the costs and the money in and the money out. Next slide. So now adding the other revenue sources for the county, the Board of Education, and the state. The top part is the county revenues. You have the fire district fund of about 222,000, debt service of a little less than 10,000, business licenses, liquor by the drink, and of course the SPLOST for about 3.4, 3.5 million in additional revenue. For the Board of Education, who, if you keep in mind, has no expense related to the stadium, they bring in about $6.5 million in additional revenue. So the total additional revenue for the county and the Board of Education is just under $10 million. And then on the state side, from the sales tax collected, another $10.2 million, for a total of about $20.2 million in additional revenue generated by the stadium and the Battery. Next slide. Some of the other community things that have happened as a result of the development, I'll let you read through these, but basically you can see that the Braves have been involved with the schools. They've started the Science Baseball STEM program. And then they have a Leadership Institute, and finally, some teacher grants. And with that, opening day is April 1st, coming around the corner. Against Chicago Cubs, and coming soon, we have you have Block C, which is down the lower left corner. That's where the movie theater and the grocery store will be, and then of course the ThyssenKrupp elevator tower, which has groundbreaking on April 18th. And that's all I have.
Any questions from the board? Sure, go ahead.
On the slide for the construction, transportation costs was 14 million and the 2 million.
Right.
Did we take into account the actual 11 million versus 14?
That was all part of, it's all was factored in. We talked about it last year, but that was just to show what it was in 2015. The 14 million, the 11 million was part of the 14 million.
Right.
Because there
But I
were
mean,
some
that's a
projects
$3
that,
million.
well, because there were some projects
good.
that the county had done and some that the Braves had done. And when you added the pluses and minuses, it came out to $11 million.
Right.
So the 11 million was part of the 14 million calculation.
But my question is the difference, the 3 million difference?
There is not a $3 million.
Factored in.
There isn't a $3 million difference. The 14 million was spent. It was just a matter of some was spent by the county, some was spent by the Braves, and credit was given, but it was $14 million.
That was a true expense. Right. Could we get a copy of this?
Yep,
That'd
you
be
can.
great, yeah, that's wonderful. I'm sure everyone is delighted to hear that this project is on a positive slope. And as I've been saying for a long time, yeah, we're gonna probably get to where we wanna go sooner than I thought. But, you know, we should acknowledge that this is truly, so far, you know, been a, you know, positive impact on the county in many different ways. And we look forward to that trend continuing in the near future.
Well, and I think one of the reasons that decided to put the sales tax in there is there's been so much emphasis based on the general fund and all that, and really has not been a lot of discussion about the sales tax, and it's some serious dollars, especially
Serious
for the
dollars.
schools.
Yeah.
Right, especially with
Which,
schools.
Who
you
have
know,
no investment.
right, well, $10 million for the schools is a lot of money towards helping with the education.
Okay, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.